college, I had my first 420 experience. It was mortifying. Back in high school, nobody in my friend group had messed with the stuff, but that changed rapidly in college. On 420 weekend, my best friend invited me to go with them to a hotbox party. He was under the impression I had FOMO, so when he was offered a +1 to this big party, he wanted me to come along. I couldn't say no. I didn't want to be labeled a loser. Of course, I was a nervous wreck the whole way there, and it only got worse when I laid my eyes on the address. Instead of being held in a house like I thought, the party was happening in a tiny third-floor apartment with a serious lack of windows, no ventilation, no easy access to the outdoors, and only a few choke points through which to escape if an emergency were to happen. From the ground, I could hear the oppressive volume of the repetitive music and the sheer number of people inside. I tried to back out, but my friend was already headed up the stairs, and he was my only ride, so I had to follow through with this. Inside, it was more packed than I could have possibly imagined. People were crammed shoulder to shoulder, smoke billowing out of every mouth, filling the room with a thick, heavy haze. There were no normal lights, just dim, unnatural LEDs, constantly swiveling and flashing and changing colors, with lasers racing and spinning through the screen of smoke. The floor sagged beneath my feet, under the weight of hundreds of people testing it to its absolute limit. I had no idea where to go or how to get there. I just held onto my friend's shoulder as he weaved through the dense crowd. But then, I lost him. The music swelled. Everyone began cheering and shouting some random lyrics as a wave barreled through, pulling my friend out of my grasp. It was too loud to call his name. I couldn't see well enough to find him. I'd only been there a minute, and I was already waiting alone in the deep end. All around me were faces and characters I had never seen, the type of people I never wanted to be this close to. Stoners of every breed from the harmless to the heartless were surrounding me. They stared dull daggers into my soul, blew smoke into my eyes, sending toxic substances down my throat and coating my lungs with their concoctions. Among them, hiding in the shadows and corners, were the evilest people at the party, the thugs, dealers, and groomers. They wore dark shades and hoods, puppeteering young women under their arms, and for all intents and purposes, everyone here was under their control. I had to leave before I suffocated, before I succumbed to a coughing fit that would have me passed out and trampled at best, or violated at worst. I had to get to the bathroom, get alone, get a moment to breathe and think. I pushed and wormed and fought my way through the brain-dead people in my way, finally making it to the bathroom door right as it opened. As the last person left, I slipped inside. I turned around, grabbed the door to shut it, and locked myself in. But at the last second, the entire mob of people on the other side pushed through. I was beaten back by the door, as a hysterical crowd filled every inch of the space. They were all speaking to each other in words I couldn't comprehend, all except one phrase: hotbox. Before I knew it, the tiny room was filled with smoke so thick, I could no longer see through it. My own hands disappeared. I struggled to find my way back to the door. When had I even been pushed away from it? I couldn't get my bearings, let alone find my way. I could barely even breathe. How was I the only one suffering and suffocating? As everyone around me moaned with pleasure, it felt like my only option was to appeal to their basic humanity, if it was possible to reach it.
Please! Everyone stop! Help me! I can't breathe! Help!
Oh my god, look at him!
That guy's greening out. Somebody wake his ass up.
No, I'm not asleep. I'm sick. I'm gonna die.
Is that him trying to talk? What a freak!
Get that loser out of here before he...
It was too much. I felt my heart stop, my lungs lock up. I tried to get things going again, but I couldn't. All I could feel were thousands of hands grabbing me, trying to rip my clothes and dig under my skin. I thrashed against them, unable to do anything else. Then, just as I was beginning to make sense of it, I got dumped back into the pit. I saw myself getting hurled out of the bathroom. Then I was sucked back into my body as my head hit the floor. I looked up, seeing the dumb, sneering faces looking down at me. Then I realized that in the middle of everything, I had thrown up all over myself, probably over multiple other people too. Perfect. In that condition, nobody would want to touch me, which meant they would get the hell out of my way. I stood up, parting the sea of morons, and ran out the door. I didn't bother to find my friend. He wasn't my friend anymore after bringing me to that waking nightmare. When I finally got out, I could acutely feel just how affected I was by everything I had inhaled. I was gone out of my mind, but still closer to reality than I was while trapped in that bathroom. I managed to get home safely, but I've never felt quite the same after that experience. Ever since 420, everything has felt different.
Bud is my life. Without it, I'm nothing. Unlike all the losers who spend every day of their lives slaving away for the man, I did the smart thing. I stayed at home and took over the basement. What good is work anyway? My mom cooks, cleans, pays the mortgage, and still has plenty left over to give me an allowance. Honestly, I think I'm living the dream. Unfortunately, there is one truly pressing issue in my life. My tolerance. I don't believe in tolerance breaks, and since I've been smoking every day for almost 10 years now, my tolerance is crazy high. Every year to celebrate 420, I try to break through that ceiling. I save up as much money as I can, then do a total blowout. I buy as much flour, extract, and/or edibles as I can. Then I do it all in the span of one night to get as blazed as humanly possible. Sadly, that barely even works anymore. So this year, I made sure my plug didn't hold nothing out on me. I wanted the strongest shit he had no matter the price, and I wasn't going to accept anything less. He was reluctant at first, but after a lot of pressure, he finally gave in and promised he'd give me the strongest stuff he'd ever stocked. As usual, I set up the deal for the night before 420. That way I could get home and start the celebration at the stroke of midnight. I snuck out of the house after my mom went to bed, then walked to the local park. I sat down on the same bench as always. Then a bit later, the plug sat down next to me. "What's up, bro? You good?" "Yeah, I'm good, bro. You got the stuff?" "You know I got it, bro. Just keep it down." "Come on, man. Why so serious?" "This shit is next level, man. I'm telling you. You gotta keep it on the DL, you feel?" "Yeah, I feel. So what's it called?" "The strain, bro. What's the name?" "It's, MILF Nectar. It'll change your life, bro. Trust." "Bet, bro, bet. Here's the dough. Let me have it." "Alright, bro. But don't say I didn't warn you." "Wait, what?" "Huh. Must be in a hurry." With the pack successfully acquired, I skipped all the way back home. I snuck down to the basement, then packed the fattest bowl of my life and let it rip. And let me just say, that shit put me on my ass faster than anything I'd ever smoked. It was like I blasted off into some completely different dimension. My tolerance was non-existent. I broke through and then some. I could hear colors, feel smells, and somehow it got even trippier than that. I heard someone walking down the stairs. I freaked out, thinking it was my mom at first. But then, I saw none other than the one and only Snoop Dogg himself, in the flesh, chilling in my basement. It should come as no surprise, but Snoop Dogg is my lifelong idol. I always wanted to meet him, and it felt like fate that he showed up right then. "Snoop, my man, what you doing here? Smells some real good shit, man. You know I had to come check it." "Hell yeah, dude, take a seat, I got you. Now, I know you like the blunts, but I'm not that good at rolling, so just give me a sec, alright? Take your time, G. I'm right where I want to be." Damn, he speaks in rhymes all the time. So cool. Despite being debilitatingly high, I got to work rolling Snoop a blunt, but I quickly ran into trouble. I felt so much pressure to do it perfectly, yet all of a sudden, my grinder was too sticky. All my blunt wraps were stale, and no matter what I did, I just couldn't get the damn things to stick. Snoop started to get impatient. He didn't like waiting to get high. It made him sober up, and that's not Snoop's natural state of being. He kept offering to help, but I was determined to get it right. I was almost there. I just needed to pack in a little more. And then, my last blunt wrap ripped. There was just no way I could repair it. I didn't have the skills. I looked up at Snoop, and his smile had turned. His chill, relaxed vibe was gone. His teeth were showing. These awful, sharp teeth protruding from his mouth. He was morphing right in front of my eyes into some kind of freak, a demon, I don't even know. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't the D-O-double-G anymore. It lunged for me, trying to rip out my throat. I fell back over the couch, rolling up to my feet. I made a break for the stairs with that monster right behind me. I managed to get up from the basement, ran across the hall, then all the way to the front door. As I ripped it open, I jerked my neck back to see if Snoop was still there. But then, everything went black, just instantaneous, like I'd been shot in the head. I was dead, or so I thought. The next thing I knew, I was looking straight up at a blinding white light. God? No. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and realized I was staring at the sun. I was lying on my back in the front yard. At first, I couldn't wrap my head around what was happening, only for it to hit me. I had just been laced. I was devastated. How can my plug do something like that to me? A loyal customer of so many years. But it's not like I can do anything about it. If I report it, I'd just be ratting myself out too. Ever since then, I haven't been able to smoke. I just get sent back to that place, trapped in the same hell with that thing wearing Snoop Dogg's skin like a suit.
When My girlfriends invited me to go to an underground 420 rave. The rave was on the outskirts of town, set up in an empty warehouse. I knew it was going to be awesome before I even walked in, and once I joined the crowd, I felt right at home. Obviously, I pre-gamed, so I had a good buzz going from the start. The music was amazing. There must have been hundreds of us. On the other hand, I knew the bathrooms were probably full of people doing God knows what, but I wasn't interested. All I wanted to do was dance, remain in the spotlight, and stay drunk and lifted, nothing else. After a while, I needed a break to catch my breath, fetch myself a drink, and recharge, so I could get back into it. I lost the friends I came with, but that didn't worry me. Honestly, the only problem I was having with the rave at that point was the line to the bar. Not having anyone to talk to while I waited made it boring as hell, and eventually landed on someone who was already looking my way. There was a guy dancing on his own at the edge of the crowd. I should have looked away sooner, but we held eye contact for a few seconds before I could pretend not to be interested. As I expected, he made his way over to me and struck up conversation.
Hey, wanna go outside and smoke a J?
Sure. Screw this line.
Just like that, I followed him out of a side entrance. He didn't lead me to some dark, sketchy alley, which I appreciated. We were in the parking lot, and I quickly realized we also weren't going to be leaning against the walls of the warehouse. We were going to his car. I didn't mind this either, but when we got to his BMW, he handed me a joint, a lighter, and another question. Rather than stand outside under the fluorescent lamps or sit in his car and go nowhere, he offered to circle around while we smoked. Then he'd park in the same spot, and we'd go back in. I liked the idea of some fresh moving air and a change of scenery, so I agreed. Sitting down in the passenger seat, I sparked up, took a few hits, then handed it over to him. He didn't take it. He just waved his hand, saying he had rolled his own and didn't like to share. I shrugged, taking the joint back to my lips and hitting it again. Despite it being a little unusual, knowing I didn't have to share was kind of nice. I took my time with it, savored it, trying to really appreciate the flavor and mouthfeel, and all that stuff nerdy stoners were always talking about. Except, I looked back over to the guy a minute or two later and saw he still didn't have a joint in his hand. He had one hand on the steering wheel and the other was resting outside the window, almost like he was pretending to smoke, but he really wasn't. This time, I questioned him a bit more, and then it hit me.
What's up?
Huh?
Where's your joint, dude? You said you had your own, but I don't see one. Don't make me smoke alone.
Oh, it's chill. I'm just waiting till we get to our destination. I don't want to get a DUI or anything.
Destination? I thought you said we were going back. Wait, where are you taking me?
Relax. Just finish your joint.
No, what's your problem? I thought you were cool. Damn it, hey! Either smoke this joint with me or pull over and let me out right now! You hear me? Hello?
Shut up! Just be grateful and smoke it!
My jaw clamped shut in shock. This was really happening. I was being abducted. Before I knew it, God knows what would be happening to me. The man reached over, and I expected him to grab or grope me, but he rested his arm on the center console and took a white-knuckle grip on the lever to open it. He kept it there for a moment. I knew if I didn't keep smoking the joint he gave me and ingested whatever he laced it with, that box was going to open, and its contents would be used against me. With no other choice, I took a hit and inhaled once more. I hadn't noticed before, but there was absolutely something wrong with that smoke. Every millisecond it spent in my lungs, the more numb I became. Everything was fading away, my only chance to escape. With no warning, I reached over and struck the burning end of the joint into his eyes.
Ah! Oh, you bitch!
Let me out!
The car swerved as he jerked the wheel in pain and lost control. He slammed on the brakes to keep it from flying off the road, and before he could speed up again and grab me, I unlocked the door and jumped out. I hit the ground at high speed, tumbling and scraping the skin off my body. I didn't feel a thing. I stood up without missing a beat and started running from his car as it sped away. I flailed my arms like a crazy woman at the next car coming down the road, forcing them to stop for me. I begged them to call the police, and once they agreed, I knew I would be okay. I don't remember much of what happened for the next 24 hours, as the chemicals took effect and basically wiped my memory. When I came back, I was in the hospital, recovering from a nasty road rash. The cops took my statement, but it didn't help find the man who tried to abduct me. I never got the guy's name, never once looked at his license plate or anything else. I just knew what kind of car he drove. Nobody even saw us together. I still bear the scars of what happened that night, but they are merely reminders of the fate I narrowly avoided. A living nightmare I would never wish upon my worst enemy. Every 420, this horrible memory resurfaces.